Alabama continued its dominance over college football, shutting out the 16th-ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. But the Tides aren't the only ones rolling. Clemson and Notre Dame are also 10-0. I'm joined at the desk by Zach Cioffi and Cam Taylor to discuss the upcoming college football playoffs. So, Zach, who are your 1 through 4?
I think Alabama's number 1. Not much explanation needed. Like you said, beat Mississippi State. They haven't lost. They don't look like they're going to lose. Number 2 is Clemson. Big win over BC this week. The defense looked dominant. BC's starting QB went out, but the D-line was just eating up the BC offensive line. Number 3, I'm going to go Michigan. That's an interesting pick because Michigan lost Notre Dame first game of the year, and I have Notre Dame ranked lower than Michigan, but Michigan just dominated everybody. They beat a few good ranked teams. The Notre Dame game was on the road, close game. And then 4, I'm going to go Georgia. You might say Notre Dame's undefeated. How are they not in your top 4? But Georgia, dominant win over 4 ranked teams. Last 2 weeks, they beat 2 ranked teams. It's 9-1 the SEC. I like them.
So, Cam, what about your top 4?
I actually agree with you on the first 3. I have Alabama 1 also. Possibly the best Bama team like Saban's had. Like they're still humming even with a hamper Tua. They play Auburn in the last game next week in the Iron Bowl, so we'll see how that goes. Clemson, they just need to keep running the ball and they'll keep winning games. They're tied first in points allowed.
Don't forget about Taylor Lawrence either.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is doing well too, and they're a top 5 offense with him at quarterback. Michigan, great front 7, solid linebacker play, 3rd in points allowed, and they play OSU next week in Columbus, so that's another huge game. But I actually have Notre Dame at 4 because they play great physical, like hard football. They've beaten everyone on their schedule so far they've beaten everyone on their schedule so far, and I just don't see them losing this week against Syracuse.
My one question about Notre Dame for you, though, is them not being in a conference, being an independent, does that really hurt them?
I just feel like they have played enough good opponents, and like they've played games on the road at places. Like that game like against Northwestern was a close game, but they ended up pulling that out late. And they played 13 Syracuse this week, another good test.
All right. So what about your first 2 out?
For me, I actually have Georgia number 5 right now. Again, they're leading the SEC East. They have that locked up. They play Alabama in the SEC Championship. So we'll see how that goes, see if they can beat Alabama and make the playoff. They're top 10 in points allowed, top 15 rushing yards a game. They run the ball like no one else in the country. And then for 6, I actually have like a tie basically between Oklahoma and West Virginia. I think the Big 12 hasn't really been locked up by either of those teams. They both have Heisman contenders leading those teams, and so we'll see that game.
Zach, what about yours?
Well, I have Notre Dame 5. I disagree. I mean, being an independent probably doesn't hurt them, but they haven't beat a ranked team besides Michigan week 1. And lack of scheduling could end up hurting them. And I would disagree. I think Syracuse has a decent chance to upset them this week. And then at number 6, I have Ohio State. Ohio State, I think a little underrated. They've only lost 1 game. They put up 30 or more points in 6 or 7 games, I believe. They're just blowing teams out. They have that really bad loss against Purdue.
They're definitely going to have a tough decision. There's a lot of possible teams that could make it, a lot of good cases. Well, our committee has decided. Stay tuned, as I'll be joined at the desk by our NFL scouts,